Commander Elena Santos stood at the viewport of the ESS Prometheus, watching the massive alien vessel approach through the rings of Saturn. The ship's quantum sensors had detected its arrival hours ago, but even now, its design defied conventional physics. It seemed to phase in and out of reality, leaving ghostly afterimages in its wake. Analysis complete, Commander. Lieutenant Kai Chen reported from his station. The vessel's energy signature matches the Mars artifact's readings. It's them, the ones who left that warning beacon. Elena's jaw tightened. 3 years ago, a routine mining operation on Mars had uncovered an alien device containing a singular message. Quantum convergence species marquee for obedisi arvation. Maintain isolation protoxials. The discovery had accelerated humanity's technological development exponentially. Every nation on Earth had united under a single goal, preparing for the day the message's authors would return. That day had finally arrived. "They're broadcasting," Kai announced. The alien transmission filtered through the ship's quantum translation matrix. "Human species, your development has been deemed aberrant. Standard containment protocols are now in effect. Resistance will result in immediate neutron sterilization of your solar system." Elena didn't flinch. This was the moment Earth had prepared for. "Send our response." Across the void, the alien vessel received humanity's message. "Containment protocols rejected. We choose our own path." The alien ship's response was immediate. A lance of coherent neutrons that should have vaporized the Prometheus instantly. Instead, the beam passed through empty space. The human vessel had vanished, its quantum displacement drive rendering it virtually omnipresent across 1,000 probable locations. "Phase cannons charge," Weapons Officer Sarah Patold reported calmly. "Quantum targeting solutions ready." "Show them what humanity can do," Elena commanded. The Prometheus reappeared simultaneously in 12 locations, each version equally real until observed, each armed with weapons that didn't just break the laws of physics, they rewrote them. The alien vessel's shields, designed to stop conventional attacks, were useless against weapons that existed in quantum superposition. As the battle began, Elena knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment, developing technologies that explored paths the aliens had never considered. They thought they were containing a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, human ingenuity unleashed. Deep within the lunar shadow, Earth's full defense grid came online. Thousands of quantum-linked satellites, hidden in plain sight, began generating a containment field that would trap the alien vessel in a bubble of altered space-time. The hunters were about to become the hunted. "Their shields are failing," Kai reported. "They're attempting emergency translocation." "Not today," Elena responded. "Activate the quantum lock." The alien ship froze in space, caught in a web of probability fields that denied them access to their faster-than-light capabilities. For the first time in their long history, the self-proclaimed guardians of galactic order faced something they couldn't comprehend. A species that had developed along paths they had never imagined possible. "They're sending a new transmission," Kai announced. "Priority signal to their home systems." Elena smiled grimly. "Good. Let them call for reinforcements. It's time they learned that humanity isn't some experiment to be contained. We're not their test subjects. We're their worst nightmare. A species that thrives on defying expectations." As the alien vessel hung helpless in space, Elena knew the real war was just beginning. But humanity was ready. The quantum technology they'd developed wasn't just advanced. It was revolutionary, following paths of development the aliens had never conceived possible. The game of cosmic cat and mouse had begun. But this time, humanity wasn't the mouse. They were something far more dangerous, a species that had turned fear into determination, turning their isolation into the ultimate advantage. The universe's most terrifying species had never expected to face humanity. They were about to learn why that was a mistake they would never forget. The Nexus Collective's High Council chamber erupted in chaos as the battle footage from Sol played before them. Supreme Orator Zixtal, their crystalline form pulsing with agitation, watched humanity's impossible technologies tear through their most advanced containment vessel. Impossible, Elder Mrevinx chittered, their compound eyes reflecting the holographic display. Their quantum manipulation exceeds our theoretical limits. No species should be capable of such advancement without passing through the standard technological progression gates. And yet, Zixtal responded, they have done exactly that. The Supreme Arbiter accessed the emergency reports flooding in from across the galaxy. Human vessels had been detected near dozens of collective outposts, each demonstrating capabilities that shouldn't exist. The humans hadn't just developed advanced technology. They had discovered principles of physics the collective had never even considered. While the collective had spent millennia perfecting conventional spacetime manipulation, humans had explored quantum mechanics from entirely different angles. Deep within Mars's Valles Marineris, Dr. Aria Raman worked in humanity's most advanced research facility. The quantum computer before her processed data from the battle, its entangled particles modeling scenarios faster than any conventional system could manage. The collective's response fleet will arrive in 36 hours, she announced to the gathered military leadership. But we've already won. They just don't know it yet. General Marcus Chen raised an eyebrow. That's a bold statement, Doctor. They're bringing 3,000 ships. Aria smiled, pulling up a holographic display of humanity's secret weapon. The quantum web. Numbers don't matter when you can control probability itself. While they've been watching our space program, thinking we're barely capable of reaching Mars, we've been weaving a network of quantum-entangled satellites throughout the entire solar system. The display showed thousands of tiny points of light, each representing a node in humanity's greatest achievement. These weren't conventional satellites. They were probability anchors, capable of altering the very fabric of reality within their sphere of influence. The moment their fleet arrives, Aria continued, we'll activate the web. Their faster-than-light drives will fail. Their weapons will find themselves firing into probability spaces where their targets never existed. They'll be fighting an enemy that can choose which version of reality to exist in. In deep space, aboard the Collective's flagship, Fleet Commander Krelvox reviewed their battle plans. The humans' quantum technology worried them, but surely a primitive species couldn't stand against the combined might of 1,000 civilizations. The fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system, weapons charged and ready. But something was wrong. Their sensors showed Earth's fleet in multiple positions simultaneously, each reading equally real. Quantum displacement field detected, their science officer reported, panic evident in their harmonic voice. They've created a probability matrix covering the entire system. Our targeting systems can't establish lock. Every target exists in multiple states simultaneously. Krelvox watched in horror as human vessels appeared to split into multiple copies, each attacking from different vectors that shouldn't have been possible. The Collective's mighty fleet found itself fighting an enemy that seemed to ignore the fundamental laws of physics. Back on Mars, Aria activated the final phase of humanity's defense. The quantum web didn't just protect Earth, it turned space itself into a weapon. Reality began to fold and twist around the Collective's ships, trapping them in bubbles of probabilistic space, where cause and effect became mere suggestions. We never needed to match their conventional technology, she explained to the stunned military leaders. While they were watching for radio signals and chemical rockets, we were learning to manipulate the quantum fabric of the universe itself. They expected us to follow their path of technological development, but humanity has always excelled at finding unexpected solutions. The battle that followed would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. The Collective's fleet, for all its technological superiority, found itself helpless against weapons that didn't just break the laws of physics, they rewrote them entirely. Humanity had turned its greatest weakness, its isolation, into its greatest strength. Forced to develop without guidance from galactic civilization, they had explored paths no other species had considered. The universe's most terrifying species was about to learn why attempting to contain humanity had been their greatest mistake. Admiral Maya Patel watched the quantum display as reality itself seemed to tear apart around the collective's fleet. Operation Starburst had begun, and humanity's greatest technological achievement was proving more effective than even their most optimistic projections had predicted. Quantum web stability at 98%, reported Dr. James Chen, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. The collected ships are completely trapped within our probability matrices. The massive alien fleet hung suspended in space, their advanced drives rendered useless by fields of twisted spacetime. But Maya knew this was just the beginning. The real test would come when the collective realized exactly what humanity had achieved. Deep within their flagship, the collective's leaders were facing an unprecedented crisis. Their sensors showed impossible readings. Human vessels existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously, weapons that ignored conventional physics, and defense systems that seemed to predict attacks before they were launched. They'd weaponized uncertainty itself. The collective's chief scientist reported, their crystalline form vibrating with distress. Their technology doesn't just manipulate matter and energy, it manipulates probability. While the collective had spent millennia perfecting conventional space warfare, humanity had taken a radically different approach. The quantum technology they developed didn't just break the rules, it changed them entirely. Maya gave the order that would demonstrate just how far humanity had advanced. Initiate quantum cascade. Across the solar system, thousands of quantum-entangled satellites activated simultaneously. Space itself began to ripple as probability waves interfered with each other, creating zones where the normal laws of physics became mere suggestions. The collective's mighty warships found themselves trapped in bubbles of altered spacetime, where cause and effect became disconnected. Their weapons fired into probability spaces where their targets had never existed. Their shields, designed to stop conventional attacks, were useless against weapons that existed in quantum superposition. They're attempting to break free, James reported, monitoring the quantum field fluctuations. Their drives are trying to punch through our probability matrix. Maya smiled grimly. Let them try. They still don't understand what they're dealing with. The collected ships fired their engines at full power, attempting to break free of the quantum web. Instead, they found themselves trapped even more securely, their own energy feeding back into the probability fields that held them. On Earth, in the depths of the Quantum Command Center, Dr. Sarah Reynolds watched the battle through quantum-entangled sensors. Her team had spent decades developing this technology, working in secret while the world above maintained a facade of normal technological progression. The collective's fundamental mistake, she explained to the gathered military leaders, was assuming that technological development follows a linear path. They expected us to discover atomic power, then fusion, then conventional space travel. Instead, we took a quantum leap. The battle continued as the collective's fleet struggled against humanity's impossible technology. Their sensors showed human ships appearing and disappearing at will, weapons that seemed to strike from multiple timelines simultaneously, and defense systems that could predict and counter any attack before it was launched. They're sending out a general distress signal, James reported, broadcasting on all known frequencies. Maya nodded. Good. Let the galaxy see what happens when you try to contain humanity. We're not some experiment to be controlled. We're not following their predetermined path of development. We're forging our own way among the stars. The quantum web continued to tighten around the collective's fleet, trapping them in a maze of probability fields where their advanced technology became worse than useless. Each attempt to break free only strengthened the quantum interference patterns that held them. Humanity had turned its isolation into an advantage, developing along paths no other species had considered. The universe's most terrifying species was about to learn that attempting to contain humanity had been their greatest mistake. one that would reshape the balance of power throughout the galaxy forever. The Collected's High Council convened an emergency session as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human ships had appeared near every major collective installation, each demonstrating the same impossible quantum technologies that had trapped their main fleet. Supreme Arbiter Zixtal faced the assembled representatives of 1,000 species. "We have made a catastrophic error in judgment. The humans haven't just matched our technology, they've transcended it entirely." The quantum-encrypted transmission from Earth arrived precisely then, its timing too perfect to be coincidence. Commander Elena Santos' image appeared before the council, her expression calm but resolute. "For centuries, you've watched our species, waiting for us to develop along your predetermined paths," she began. "You expected radio waves, chemical rockets, and primitive atomic weapons. Instead, we gave you quantum manipulation that exceeds your theoretical limits." The council chamber fell silent as Elena continued. "You thought isolation would contain us. Instead, it forced us to think beyond conventional boundaries. While you perfected faster-than-light travel, we learned to exist in multiple probability states simultaneously. While you built bigger weapons, we learned to weaponize uncertainty itself." Across the solar system, the quantum web continued to hold the Collective's fleet in its invisible grip. Each ship hung suspended in a bubble of altered space-time, their mighty weapons rendered useless by humanity's control over probability itself. "We offer you a choice," Elena announced. "Continue this conflict, and we will demonstrate exactly how far humanity has advanced beyond your understanding. Or accept that your assumptions about technological development were fundamentally flawed, and engage with us as equals." In the quantum research facility beneath Mars's surface, Dr. Arya Raman monitored the fluctuations in the probability fields. The collected ships were no longer trying to break free. They had finally realized the futility of fighting against laws of physics they couldn't even comprehend. "They're beginning to understand," she reported to General Chen. "Our quantum technology doesn't just break their rules, it operates on principles they never even considered possible." The Collected's response came after hours of deliberation. Supreme Arbiter Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with complex emotions as they addressed humanity's representatives. "In all our history," they began, "no species has ever developed along such divergent paths. You have achieved what our scientists deemed impossible, not by following our route of advancement, but by exploring realms of physics we never thought to investigate." The quantum web began to dissipate, releasing the Collected ships from their probability prisons. It was a gesture of trust, but also a demonstration. Humanity could have destroyed the fleet at any time, but chose diplomacy instead. "Your isolation," Zixtal continued, "which we intended as a containment measure, instead drove you to innovations that have shaken the foundations of our understanding. We acknowledge our error. The galaxy's future must be one of cooperation, not control." As the Collected ships retreated from the solar system, humanity's quantum satellites remained vigilant, a constant reminder that the species they had tried to contain had become something far more fascinating and far more dangerous than they could have imagined. The universe's most terrifying species had learned a crucial lesson. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't just its technology, but its ability to think beyond established boundaries, to turn isolation into innovation, and to transform theoretical impossibilities into practical realities. 1 year after the quantum confrontation, the galactic landscape had transformed completely. Earth's quantum technology had revolutionized interstellar civilization, forcing the Collective to reimagine everything they thought they knew about technological development. Commander Elena Santos stood aboard the new quantum hybrid station orbiting Jupiter, watching representatives from hundreds of alien species arrive for the first Galactic Innovation Summit. Each visitor's eyes widened at the sight of human quantum technology in action, reality itself seeming to flex and bend around them as they passed through probability fields. "They still can't quite believe it," Dr. Arya Raman noted, monitoring the quantum stabilization fields. A species they tried to quarantine is now teaching them how to rewrite the laws of physics. The collective had discovered that humanity's quantum revolution wasn't just a military advantage. It represented an entirely new approach to understanding the universe. Human scientists were now working alongside alien researchers, showing them how to explore the quantum realm in ways they had never imagined possible. Supreme Arbiter Zixtal, now serving as the chief liaison between humanity and the collective, addressed the assembled delegates. The humans have shown us that progress doesn't follow a single path. Their quantum technology isn't just advanced, it's revolutionary, following principles we never thought to explore. The station's quantum core hummed softly, maintaining the probability fields that allowed ships from across the galaxy to dock simultaneously in space that should have been too limited to contain them all. It was just one example of how humanity's unique approach to physics had begun reshaping galactic civilization. The quarantine that was meant to contain us, Elena addressed the gathering, instead forced us to think beyond conventional limitations. We didn't just develop new technology. We developed new ways of thinking about what's possible. The galaxy's most fearsome species had become its greatest innovators. Humanity's quantum revolution had sparked a renaissance of scientific exploration, as species across the galaxy began questioning their assumptions about technological development. As the summit concluded, Elena watched the alien ships depart through quantum-synchronized space lanes, another human innovation that had made interstellar travel safer and more efficient. The universe's most terrifying species had proven to be exactly what galactic civilization needed. A reminder that true progress comes not from following established paths, but from daring to imagine new ones entirely. The containment protocol that was meant to isolate humanity had instead unleashed it, forever changing the course of galactic history. The species that the collective had feared would destroy galactic order had instead transformed it, proving that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is a new way of thinking.